All right, so you're used to swiping your credit and debit card at the register to pay for purchases, right? But that process is going to change. We're talking about new cards with new technology, a small little chip. Norma spoke with an expert on how this upgrade is expected to enhance our financial security.
Coming this fall, you might notice you're going to start to get new credit and debit cards in the mail. Maybe you've already gotten them and you're wondering, what's with this chip technology? What's it all about? Stephanie Ericksen is with Visa. She joins us from San Francisco this morning to talk about it. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you.
So let's get started. We may have already gotten some. I know I already got new ones in the mail, but a lot of people haven't. There's going to be some big changes coming to credit and debit cards in the United States this fall, right?
Exactly. The forecast is roughly 63% of the cards that people are carrying in their wallets will be converted to chip technology by the end of this year. So many people already have chip cards in their wallets that their financial institutions have mailed to them, and many will be receiving them certainly as we move forward into the fall.
If I get one of these cards, what should I do with it? Do I need to do anything different when I'm at the store and I'm at the point of payment? Or is this, and how does it help make security better for me as the customer?
Well, the way that chip technology works is a chip is being added to the card, so it looks very much like the card you already have today in your wallet. In addition to the mag stripe on the back, there's now also going to be a chip on the front. And the way that chip works is it generates a unique one-time code that changes with each transaction. And that code, if it's stolen from a data breach, for example, can't be used by criminals to do counterfeit fraud, which is roughly 2/3 of the fraud that we see in stores today. From a consumer experience point of view, it's going to feel a little bit different. Rather than swiping the mag stripe on the back of your card like you do today, as more merchant locations become enabled to read the chip on your card, you'll begin to insert the chip end of your card into the terminal, and that's when that unique one-time code is generated.
Okay, so
and then people can just follow the prompts on the terminal.
So even the way I purchase will be a little different in terms of, like you said, instead of the swipe that we're so familiar with, it's going to be you insert it and leave it there for a little while, and then you follow the prompts.
Exactly. So rather than swiping the mag stripe like you do today, more often we'll be using the chip on the card to generate that unique one-time code. And that's what's generating the added security for chip transactions.
Let me ask you
in the meantime, if
yes.
consumers are continuing...
Go ahead. Sorry.
In the meantime, if consumers are continuing to use the mag stripe on the back of their card, it's important for them to know that they're always protected still with zero liability fraud protection. So whether or not they're using their existing mag stripe card or as they start to get a chip card mailed to them from their financial institution, they're always protected, but moving to chip is going to help enhance the security of the payments environment.
I'm glad you said that, because that was my next question is, in your estimation, we hear about people being the victims of identity theft. I mean, we hear about big companies that admit that their systems have been breached. We've heard about some of these retailers in the past, the big retailer, big names. Will this make a difference in protecting people from becoming victims of identity theft?
Absolutely. As chip transaction data is being used to do payments through the system, we've seen from around the world as chip technology is adopted, counterfeit fraud goes down by 60% or more.
Wow.
And today in the in-store environment, counterfeit fraud is roughly 2/3 of the fraud we see today.
Wow.
So this is a very important change to enhancing the security of the payments infrastructure.
I understand this is pretty common in Europe already, right?
Yes, it's very common around the world. Chip technology is actually being used around the world for almost 15 or 20 years, and we're bringing it here to the U.S. to improve the security of the environment that we already have today.
Now, how about getting rid of my old magnetic strip card? What should I and how should I get rid of that? How best to get rid of it?
Sure. When people get a new chip card mailed to them, they can just cut up their old card, similar to how you do today when your card's replaced if it expires, for example. And then going forward, they can either use the mag stripe on the back of their chip card if the merchant can't accept the chip yet, or they can also use the chip as more and more stores are enabled to read the chip.
Okay, but one thing that I want to end on this is that's important is that, like you said, people who use their credit cards and their debit cards, there is a limit to their liability when they use those cards, if there is indeed a case of fraud, right?
Exactly. Consumers have zero fraud liability protection. So today it's the banks that are taking on that liability for the fraud, but consumers are always protected. Whether or not they're using their chip credit card or their mag stripe card, they always have protection from fraud.
Well, this has been really educational. I'm so glad we spoke to you, Stephanie, because yes, people getting them in the mail now may be wondering, what do I need to do? What's different? How does this benefit me? And from what you're saying, it looks like it's going to make a big difference in the way people shop and their level of security, at least increasing their level of security. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So yeah, we got to get used to putting our cards into the reader and letting it sit in there for a second instead of just kind of swiping it, which has been so used to the swipe technology for so many years. Times are changing, so look for your new debit cards or credit cards in the mail.
You know when you're not cool anymore?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I've been there many times.
It's when the Park Ave Fest is here and you didn't even realize it was here. This morning I was like, is Park Ave Fest?
Do you remember that was like the thing?
Oh, totally.
It was the scene, the place to be.
We have three people who are much cooler than I am that tells you what other things that are happening this weekend that I don't know about yet. The weekend buzz coming up right after this.